Civil rights are policies designed to protect people from arbitrary or discriminatory treatments by government officials or other individuals. We should all know by now that civil rights is a huge issue and has been an important aspect of our history. But we know that it's an issue because of discrimination. So the three main types of discrimination include racial, gender, and discrimination based on age, disability, or sexual orientation. Therefore, we can place an amendment in each of the eras that encompass the struggle towards racial equality. African Americans are the most visible in struggles for equality, so their path towards racial equality can be broken down into three eras. The era through slavery began with colonization and ended with the Civil War. An imperative case to this era was Scott v. Sanford, which encompassed the Supreme Court decision ruling that a slave who had escaped to a free state enjoyed no rights as a citizen and that Congress had no authority to ban slavery in the territories. However, the treacherous act of slavery ended when the Union had their victory in the Civil War, and the ratification of the 13th Amendment ended slavery once and for all. The following era was the era of Reconstruction and segregation. The nation was stepping in the right direction until Hayes became president in 1876 because of promises to pull troops from the South. However, under Hayes, the Jim Crow laws and segregation laws were enacted by Southern states. The KKK also surfaced to penalize blacks who retaliated them, and the decision of Plessy v. Ferguson was enacted. This Supreme Court case allowed the blacks and whites to be segregated, but only if they were equal, thus it being de jure segregation, which is by law, versus de facto segregation being by nature. The most important event in the last era is Brown v. Board of Education in 1954. This Supreme Court case revealed the ruling that overturned Plessy v. Ferguson, and it ended legal segregation. Thus, Congress prohibited federal aid to schools that remained segregated and caused an increase in public policy seeking in the 1950s and 1960s. Therefore, the three eras of struggle served as catalysts to the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The act made racial discrimination illegal in restaurants and other public accommodations. It also forbade discrimination in the workplace and strengthened voting rights in legislations. It also authorized the U.S. Justice Department to initiate lawsuits to desegregate public schools and facilities. They enforced this by withholding federal grants for institutions that practice racial discrimination. Blacks, Latinos, and women in the 1960s began to protest against discrimination with the help of leaders like MLK and Cesar Chavez. Civil rights groups like the NCAAP also formed in order to protect these rights. When talking about equal rights for different races, suffrage, which is the right to vote, is a major theme in the step towards equality. Even though the 15th Amendment allowed black males the right to vote, which is also suffrage, poll taxes were enacted to prevent them from being able to vote. However, 1 year later, the Voters' Rights Act of 1965 allowed these black men to vote without any barriers. An imperative case towards civil rights was Korematsu v. United States, a 1944 Supreme Court decision that upheld as constitutional the internment of more than 100,000 Americans of Japanese descent in encampments during World War II. Women have also made an immense step towards equality with the 19th Amendment and the Equal Rights Amendment, as well as landmark cases like Reed v. Reed and Craig v. Bourne. The term comparable worth also became popular, which regarded the issue raised when women who hold traditionally female jobs are paid less than men for working at jobs requiring comparable skill. Thus, people striving for racial equality allowed affirmative action, which is the policy designed to give special attention or compensatory treatment for members of a previously disadvantaged group, to emerge into cases and acts, including the following, as well as Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 that requires employers and public facilities to make responsible accommodations for people with disabilities.